Hi class. Hopefully going to finish up this project with a shorter demo this time around. I'm basically going to be showing you how to paint this by hand, or at least prime it so that you can put whatever color or treatment on top that you wish to recreate whatever object you're working with. Some things to think about. I did mention in the assignment sheet that you can spray paint these things flat white. You could also use a kind of a gray primer if you want to use mid-tones for your piece, or a darker, even a black or red primer. Those are auto primers, but they still function the same way. I am going to be using a flat white paint because two things that I want you to think about. If you brush your paint on, you're adding a lot more material, in a sense, to the texture of your surface. It will actually, if you have a rough texture, it will end up diminishing that texture and smoothing out the surface to a degree. So that is another way of adding a layer, because you're essentially adding a layer of plastic. That's what latex paint is to this object. If you spray paint it, you're going to actually accentuate possibly any of the surface imperfections that are there, because you are laying down a coat of paint that is much thinner and much more precise. So precision in something like this may be desirable, it may not be. But whatever you do, whichever choice you choose, just pay attention to that idea as you're doing it and the results, so that you're informed by it, right? And take that knowledge forward. So I'm using this. This is just a flat white Rust-Oleum paint. I bought it off the shelf at Home Depot. You can get a smaller one. Obviously, this is a lot more paint than I need for this, but I'll use it elsewhere. So shake it up, make sure the lid's on. That's okay. You can also stir it with a stir stick, but that's plenty shaking. I know that because I have used this paint recently. So it hasn't settled. If your paint's been sitting on the shelf for a long time, you may definitely, actually, you will want to stir it with a stick and get the pigments out of the bottom of the can. But I just have a small throwaway. I say throwaway because it's cheap, but it's just a 2-inch brush. Probably cost $1.50 at the most at the hardware store. And then I'm not going to paint the whole thing at once. You have to have patience. So I'm not gooping the paint on either. I'm going to brush it out. Work it into the cracks and crevices of the texture. And you can see as I'm mounting it on, it is not a perfect, you can't see it too much with the camera, but yeah, you can right in there. See, it's not going to cover completely the first time. You have to do more than one coat. And slopping it on with a whole bunch of paint only creates drips, and that makes it so that the surface of your piece is no longer in your control. And you want to control these things as much as you can, unless the piece perhaps is about a lack of control. I'm even taking the paintbrush and just kind of working it into the textures so that I know that it's getting all the way in to those nooks and crannies created by the paper mache process. Now I'm just going to go probably about down to here around the whole thing so that I can still handle it and put it down. And then in 20-30 minutes, I'm not going to make you watch this, but in 20 to 30 minutes, I will come back and do the bottom half, or the half that I'm actually holding at the moment. And then after another 20-30 minutes, I'll come back and give the whole thing a second coat and see if that's enough for a good undercoat to then apply whatever treatment I want. I don't know if this would be a red push pin, basing it on what I talked about. I was kind of modeling this on. This is part of that push pin. I would be painting the whole thing red. And because I brushed the undercoat, I will brush the top coat. That's not to say you can definitely spray paint the bottom coat and brush the top coat. You can try to do the other way also. You can try to brush the bottom coat and spray paint the top coat. That's going to have less success than any of the possibilities. Okay, I'm in good shape here. I've got it all covered. You know, there's no paint on my handle. It's not like we're trying to slot paint on a house. So try to keep it neat and controlled. But at this point you can see, I don't see any drips. It almost just looks like plaster bandage now because the strips of paper mache are mimicking plaster bandage from a cast. But that's pretty much it, guys. Once you get this primer coat done, you can begin to put the finishing touches on, the surface treatments to your projects. Good luck.